King is the sovereign, ruler, holds the highest executive power, aka the people. Sovereignty itself is, of course, not subject to law, for it is the author and source of law. But in our system, while sovereign powers are delegated to the agencies of government, sovereignty itself remains with the people, by whom and for whom all government exists and acts, and the law is the definition and limitation of power. UHive. Hopkins. Only the people can save America. I know no safe depositary of the ultimate powers of the society but the people themselves, and if we think them not enlightened enough to exercise their control with a wholesome discretion, the remedy is not to take it from them, but to inform their discretion by education. This is the true corrective of abuses of constitutional power. Thomas Jefferson. Educate and inform the whole mass of the people. They are the only sure reliance for the preservation of our liberty. Thomas Jefferson. An enlightened citizenry is indispensable for the proper functioning of a republic. Self-government is not possible unless the citizens are educated sufficiently to enable them to exercise oversight. It is therefore imperative that the nation see to it that a suitable education be provided for all its citizens. It should be noted that when Jefferson speaks of science, he is often referring to knowledge or learning in general. Thomas Jefferson. If a nation expects to be ignorant and free in a state of civilization, it expects what never was and never will be. Thomas Jefferson. Fourth branch of government. In a stunning 6-3 decision, Justice Antonin Scalia, writing for the majority, confirmed that the American grand jury is neither part of the judicial, executive nor legislative branches of government, but instead belongs to the people. It is in effect a fourth branch of government, governed and administered to directly by and on behalf of the American people, and its authority emanates from the Bill of Rights. C. United States v. Williams. In reality, there is only one grand jury within a state with locations in each county. We can draw off the jury pool from any county if necessary. When the administrators of each county come together on an issue, they can use the seal of each county on an arbitration or presentment document which can produce extraordinary results. But in order to be successful, we must first seek the blessings from the Governor of the universe, and build our endeavor upon him and his principles: 1. Honor, 2. Justice, and 3. Mercy. This is the only sure foundation, any other will succumb to tyrants. Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. John Adams. Man will ultimately be governed by God or by tyrants. Benjamin Franklin. Constitution of a Grand Jury. We the people, by the mercy and grace of God, having blessed us with the unalienable right of the people as grand jurors, secured by the Fifth Amendment of the Bill of Rights for the United States of America, in order to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity by the securing of natural law, do ordain and establish this grand jury, principled upon justice, honor and grace for a perpetual administration of trust on behalf of the people. Duty of the grand jury. If anyone's unalienable rights have been violated, or removed, without a legal sentence of their peers, from their lands, home, liberties or lawful right, we the 25 shall straightway restore them. And if a dispute shall arise concerning this matter, it shall be settled according to the judgment of the 25 grand jurors, the sureties of the peace. Magna Carta, June 15, A.D. 1215, 52. Jurist Oath. I vow to the Governor of the universe, in my capacity as jurist, to ensure that all public servants uphold the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Prohibition's rights, and to carry out all of my deliberating under natural law, principled under justice, honor, and mercy, and to strictly adhere to the following 2 legal maxims. 1. Every right when withheld must have a remedy, and every injury its proper redress, and 2. In the absence of a victim there can be no crime. Corpus delicti, the state cannot be the victim. It is the duty of all the people to share in the governing of themselves and to secure their government by participating as a jurist. Think about this. If we the people can reinstate justice, and demand that elected officials and bureaucrats obey the law or be indicted, we would have then succeeded in reinstating the Constitution. Only the people can stand up and defend the Constitution, because the Constitution cannot defend itself, and bureaucrats will never do it. Pray and stand for justice. Hold on, my friends, to the Constitution and the Republic for which it stands. Miracles do not cluster, and what has happened once in 6,000 years, may not happen again. Hold on to the Constitution, for if the American Constitution should fail, there will be anarchy throughout the world. Daniel Webster. Necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedom. It is the argument of tyrants, it is the creed of slaves. William Pitt, November 18, 1783. I would rather be exposed to the inconvenience attending too much liberty than those attending too small degree of it. Thomas Jefferson. Grand Jury Mission Statement. Our mission is to restore the people to sovereignty through knowledge, and only then will they be armed with the virtue to take political and judicial power. The people have it in their power to disarm and defeat the enemy of liberty, both foreign and domestic, if they only understood the principles of freedom and stand upon them. To take political power is to control our elected representatives, by bringing them into obedience through fear of the people. This is accomplished by understanding the office of and becoming elected committeemen, and then execute the powers. It's that simple. To take judicial power is to control our courts by understanding jurisdiction, and bringing into subjection all government officers and officials using common law courts by opening courts of record and executing people authority. It's that simple. But, to successfully apply political and judicial power, you must have a sense of justice and mercy, which is synonymous with virtue. And to get virtue, you need to have a relationship with your Creator. If everyone exercised these principles, America could shake off the chains of tyranny, reinstate our republic, and bring down the NWO, literally overnight. This is the only way to save the nation. Without power, you are powerless. Join our endeavor and save our republic, one people at a time. We are nonpartisan. A partisan person is one who is blindly or unreasonably devoted to party positions. Therefore, a partisan cannot possibly serve the Constitution. George Washington warned us against political parties when he said, "They only succeed in pitting one group against another." The cause of the grassroots movement is the awakening to our constitutional crisis, for to be engaged in partisan politics would further serve the demise of our constitutional republic. The genius of the progressive movement is their exploitation of partisan politics, which they created to subvert our Constitution. Grassroots groups are natural and spontaneous, whose primary objective is to reinstate the Constitution. To be partisan would be counterproductive. Traditional power structures are orchestrated and designed to harness grassroots movements. They must always be suspect, and will be proven corrupt if they are partisan, divisive, take control of choosing candidates. Grassroots are founded locally, control is local, and most events are local. To collaborate with distant groups is necessary for unity, but if events become dictated by them, you are no longer grassroots. All that is necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men do nothing. Edmund Burke. Declaration. We the people, by the mercy and grace of God, ordained with certain unalienable rights, among them the right to form and exercise this 25-people grand jury in the spirit of the Magna Carta and our founding fathers, and in obedience to God for this county on behalf of the people, having recorded our authority with the county clerk and the state Supreme Court chief clerk, by which we act in order to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. By the securing of natural law, do hereby return justice, honor, and grace for a perpetual administration of trust on behalf of the people hereby defined in this handbook, so let the wicked perish at the presence of God. Psalm 68, 2. No God, no liberty. No God, no liberty. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. John 8:36. If a nation expects to be ignorant and free, it expects what never was and never will be. Thomas Jefferson. The favorable smiles of heaven can never be expected on a nation that disregards the eternal rules of order and right which heaven itself has ordained. George Washington. God who gave us life gave us liberty. And can the liberties of a nation be thought secure when we have removed their only firm basis, a conviction in the minds of the people that these liberties are of the gift of God? That they are not to be violated but with his wrath. Indeed, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just, that his justice cannot sleep forever. Thomas Jefferson. The worship of God is a duty. Benjamin Franklin. The fate of unborn millions will now depend, under God, on the courage of this army. Our cruel and unrelenting enemy leaves us only the choice of brave resistance, or the most abject submission. We have, therefore, to resolve to conquer or die. George Washington. I am sure that never was a people, who had more reason to acknowledge a divine interposition in their affairs, than those of the United States, and I should be pained to believe that they have forgotten that agency, which was so often manifested during our revolution, or that they fail to consider the omnipotence of that God who is alone able to protect them. George Washington. Only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. As nations become corrupt and vicious, they have more need of masters. Benjamin Franklin. Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. John Adams. Statesmen, my dear sir, may plan and speculate for liberty, but it is religion and morality alone, which can establish the principles upon which freedom can securely stand. The only foundation of a free constitution is pure virtue, and if this cannot be inspired into our people in a greater measure than they have it now, they may change their rulers and the forms of government, but they will not obtain a lasting liberty. They will only exchange tyrants and tyrannies. John Adams. The safety and prosperity of nations ultimately and essentially depend on the protection and blessing of Almighty God, and the national acknowledgement of this truth is not only an indispensable duty, which the people owe to him, but a duty whose natural influence is favorable to the promotion of that morality and piety, without which social happiness cannot exist, nor the blessings of a free government be enjoyed. John Adams. Observe good faith and justice towards all nations. Cultivate peace and harmony with all. Religion and morality enjoin this conduct, and can it be that good policy does not equally enjoin it? Can it be that Providence has not connected the permanent felicity of a nation with its virtue? George Washington. Nothing can contribute to true happiness that is inconsistent with duty, nor can a course of action conformable to it be finally without an ample reward. For God governs, and he is good. Benjamin Franklin. Happiness, whether in despotism or democracy, whether in slavery or liberty, can never be found without virtue. John Adams. It cannot be emphasized too strongly or too often that this great nation was founded, not by religionists, but by God's children, not on religions, but on the gospel of Jesus Christ. For this very reason peoples of other faiths have been afforded asylum, prosperity, and freedom of worship here. Patrick Henry. It is the duty of every man to render to the Creator such homage. Before any man can be considered as a member of civil society, he must be considered as a subject of the governor of the universe, James Madison. We have staked the whole future of American civilization, not upon the power of government, far from it. We have staked the future of all of our political institutions upon the capacity of mankind for self-government, upon the capacity of each and all of us to govern ourselves, to control ourselves, to sustain ourselves according to the 10 Commandments of God. James Madison. Religion, or the duty we owe to our Creator, and manner of discharging it, can be directed only by reason and conviction, not by force or violence. James Madison. Let it simply be asked, where is the security for prosperity, for reputation, for life, if the sense of religious obligation desert the oaths, which are the instruments of investigation in the courts of justice? George Washington. And let us with caution indulge the supposition, that morality can be maintained without religion. George Washington. Whatever may be conceded to the influence of refined education on minds of peculiar structure, reason and experience both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in exclusion of religious principle. George Washington. 'Tis substantially true, that virtue or morality is a necessary spring of popular government. George Washington. Though, in reviewing the incidents of my administration, I am unconscious of intentional error, I am nevertheless too sensible of my defects not to think it probable that I may have committed many errors. Whatever they may be, I fervently beseech the Almighty to avert or mitigate the evils to which they may tend. George Washington. Congress and President George Washington in 1789 passed the United States Annotated Code, Article 3, which states, religion, morality, and knowledge, being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged. Quote. In my view, the Christian religion is the most important and one of the first things in which all children, under a free government, ought to be instructed. No truth is more evident to my mind than that the Christian religion must be the basis of any government intended to secure the rights and privileges of a free people. Noah Webster. The brief exposition of the Constitution of the United States will unfold to young persons the principles of republican government, and it is the sincere desire of the writer that our citizens should early understand that the genuine source of correct republican principles is the Bible, particularly the New Testament or the Christian religion. Noah Webster. The religion which has introduced civil liberty is the religion of Christ and his apostles, which enjoins humility, piety, and benevolence, which acknowledges in every person a brother, or a sister, and a citizen with equal rights. This is genuine Christianity, and to this we owe our free constitutions of government. Noah Webster. The moral principles and precepts contained in the scriptures ought to form the basis of all of our civil constitutions and laws. All the miseries and evils which men suffer from vice, crime, ambition, injustice, oppression, slavery and war, proceed from their despising or neglecting the precepts contained in the Bible. Noah Webster. If the citizens neglect their duty and place unprincipled men in office, the government will soon be corrupted. Laws will be made not for the public good so much as for the selfish or local purposes. Noah Webster. Every master of slaves is born a petty tyrant. They bring the judgment of heaven upon a country. As nations cannot be rewarded or punished in the next world, they must be in this. By an inevitable chain of causes and effects, Providence punishes national sins, by national calamities. George Mason. Father of our Bill of Rights, 1787. Common law is our heritage. Liberty is our inheritance. We the people have been lulled asleep. We have been robbed and persuaded to sell our birthright. Whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty, and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. James 1:25. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Hosea 4:6. Get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting get understanding. Exalt her, and she shall promote thee, she shall bring thee to honor, when thou dost embrace her. Prov 4:5-8. To order jurist handbooks go to. Natural law. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Matt 22:37-40. For more information, free civics course covering American history, Constitution, common law, trial by jury, to register as a jurist in your county, or for contact information for your local common law grand jury, visit our website.